Welcome back to HH Sports. We are back with another fantasy video. Before we get into the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate it very much. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing higher or lower rapid fire with these fantasy ADP based off ESPN ADP. So me and Steve, we're going to be split back here. We're like Monty and Jimmy or Gibbs here. We're going to alternate from player 10 they have ranked all the way to player 50. And we're going to each go very briefly on if we're higher than what ESPN has them at or lower than what they have them at. So to begin, we'll get right into it. We'll let you start off with who they have ranked at number 10.
Yeah, it's Devon A-Chain, and I think that's a little too high. I did draft him the other night, but it was a lot lower than this. I think the offense is going to be bad, like we have talked about, but that is a little too high for me, almost around 8 to 10 spots high. But we'll go right up to you. We got Justin Jefferson at 11.
Yeah, with Justin Jefferson, I'm feeling slightly lower because of the question marks with Kyler Murray. I don't think he's the best over-the-middle passer where I think Justin Jefferson gets a lot of his work. Very curious to see how this works with Kyler coming in. Obviously, we don't have a sample size of this yet, but I'm slightly lower. Yeah.
So I misspoke. So I'm lower on A-Chain. I said higher. I was thinking the other way. Lower. Yeah.
But we can go right into Mr. James Cook.
Yeah, I'm higher on James Cook. I think he should be a first-round pick. I think you just tie yourself to that offense. I think he's around that 8-9 range. He's on such a good team, and he was the rushing leader last year. And if he gets more touchdowns, it's just even better. I know the fear of Josh Allen's going to take a lot of those in the red zone and stuff, but just having a running back on that good of a team, I'm higher in that. I think I'm above 12. But we'll go right into 13, Mr. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I'm much higher on Saquon Barkley here. I think he's having a great bounce-back season. I know he's getting older, and it was very weird last year. Now they have Sean Mannion coming in. I think that he's going to be more focused on the run game. More we saw out of the I position rather than shotgun, where Saquon prefers to run the ball out of, so he says you can see the field better. I think he's just still a super talented guy and a very, very good offense that should have a bounce-back season.
Yes.
But with that said, we can go right into Mr. Ashton Genty.
Yeah, I'm just a smidge higher. I think they're pretty close around 14, but I think if you're in a 12-man league, he's probably a first-round pick. I think just the volume that he's going to get being on the Raiders is going to be way better. You got Kubiak coming in. That team's got to be better. They got more O-line. They got Kirk Cousins to play quarterback, or Mendoza is going to come into the end of the year. But Genty is going to get a ton of work. As long as he doesn't get hurt with that workload, he's going to get a ton of touches, a ton of opportunities to be a great running back this year. But we're getting to number 15, Mr. Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, he just had a high ankle sprain, so
Yes.
He's obviously going to be shooting down the board a little bit. I don't know if this is updated quite yet. Never want to draft a guy going into the season with an injury. Obviously, we like the talent. We like what he could be drafted out of number 3 for the Arizona Cardinals. People were raving about his performance in the preseason game, how good he did look. But now he does have a high ankle sprain, and he's still a rookie, so I'm definitely going to be a little bit lower on him. But we can go right into number 16, Mr. Drake London.
Yeah, not our guy. I'm lower on Drake London. I don't think that he's bad at wide receiver, but he's in a situation now with Stefanski who wants to throw the ball, and wants to run the ball, and now you got Bijan, and you also have that quarterback question marks. You got Tua, and you got Michael Penix pointing at him. That's going to be a meme all year. Penix was like this in preseason because Tua stunk. But even though I'm a Tua believer, I don't believe in Drake London this much in fantasy. I got him lower than 16. But we'll move right ahead to number 17, Trey McBride.
Yeah, I'm lower on Trey McBride. He's not my tight end 1 this year. I talked about Brock Bowers in our past video. I kind of said in that video too, if you haven't seen that. I just think that his success a lot last year came from game script and then trailing a lot and then throwing the ball 50 times. Now, could that happen again because they're supposed to be pretty poor again this year? Absolutely, but I don't think it'll be at that capacity. It's rather unlikely for him to replicate even close to that season. Even if things did get better, but I think things got worse. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a real NFL starter in this league, and I think Trey McBride's going to feel the wrath of that a little bit going into the season. He's still a great player, just not in love with the offense he's attached to, but we can go right into 18 with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I guess I'll say lower. I kind of like 18. I guess right around where he is, I'm good with that. There's running backs below him that I have higher than him, so I'm going to say lower for the ESPN rankings. I like Derrick Henry. I think he's a good pick if you get him around this. But you just know what you're going to get. You're getting a running back that's not going to get much receiving work. And most of the time, I think most people play PPR like we play. You want somebody that's going to get some targets, and he is not one of those running backs. But we'll move on to our first quarterback at 19, Josh Allen.
Yeah, this is the only quarterback that could be this high. I'm definitely still lower on him just because of his positional value. Josh Allen has been amazing in fantasy the past 5 years. You know what you're going to get. He's a stud. I just think there's a lot more options at quarterback. That is the only reason why he would go down on my ADP list. Not necessarily because of the talent. I just think the positional value, it's the same thing we see in real NFL drafts, right? Complete opposite because quarterbacks are more high. But yeah, in fantasy, quarterbacks you can find a lot better, or not better, you can find more serviceable players later in the draft. So he's lower on mine. But we can go right into number 20 with Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I'm lower on him, and more of it just because what we're hearing out of camp so much that he's not doing so great apparently. And Cyrus Allen's this big name that people keep talking about that Mahomes is looking to. You still got Kelsey there. I am excited for him that Mahomes, if he's going to play, week 1, it sounds like he's going to play. But there's some wide receivers below him on this list that I would rather have than Rashee Rice. And what we're hearing from camp is not great things from him. And I know there's always that trouble looming over his head. So a guy that I am just a bit lower on. But we're going to stay right in Kansas City to the new running back, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I think on this ESPN's ADP, I would have him higher. But I am rather more low. I've changed my mind. I flip-flopped on him a few times.
Yeah.
Going into the draft this year, I've kind of imagined myself taking him, and then me in week 5 hating that pick. I feel like I've made these picks before, players in new situations, and they just don't ultimately perform. Injury questions, obviously you don't want to be predicting injuries. I don't know why there's not a lot of logic to this one. I could be very, very wrong. He could be very, very awesome. It just seemed like a trap to me, and I don't know exactly why. More of a gut feeling more than anything, which I know is not what you guys are looking for. But that's just my honest truth. But yeah, I higher than ESPN, but lower, I think, than some people may think. But we can go right into our second tight end with Brock Bowers at 22.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I'm higher on him. I did get him in our draft the other night, and I did flip-flop because I did start with Trey McBride, my wide receiver 1. But if you watched our video last week, on Tuesday, you saw it a little bit. We talked about it. I think just the workload he's going to get being in Kubiak's offense, he is the number 1 option when it comes to receiving. Genty's probably the number 2 because their wide receivers are almost non-existent right now. Maybe someone steps up. Maybe Trey Tucker is the guy. But Brock Bowers, I think, is going to be a Swiss Army knife for this team, catching a lot of touchdowns, doing some plays that you don't see a lot of tight ends do. He's just going to be that main receiving guy. And I think next year, you're going to be talking about like a top 5 receiving options up there with the top tier wide receivers. But we will move on to Cincinnati's running back, Chase Brown.
Yeah, I'm much higher on Chase Brown. I think with Joe Burrow playing, he's very, very good in fantasy football. He gets all the receptions. He gets all the work. He has nobody really behind him besides Samaje Perine, which we know what he is. He's a handcuff at best, never going to really be that great in the NFL. Hard to imagine. I think Chase Brown has done great, great things when he gets the opportunity share, which he is in a position to do that once again. If you had him in fantasy last season, he started off slow with the Joe Burrow injury, but as soon as Joe Burrow came back, he was quite good and may have won you a league if you kept him all the way through. But we can move on to another running back at number 24 with Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, I'm higher on Hampton, a bit higher than what they have him at 24. I know Mike McDaniel stood up there the other day and he's like, oh, all these running backs are going to play. I don't have a running back 1. Shut up. Yes, you do. Omarion Hampton is your running back 1. He's built like a beast. He's better than Keaton Mitchell. He's better than Vidal. He's going to get a ton of touches and a great offense. I'm pretty high on Hampton this year. And maybe just because I'm high on running backs in general, I prefer running backs. But especially way higher than 24. He's definitely an early second-round pick to me. But we'll move on to your guy. You get to talk about your guy, A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I'm slightly higher. I still worry about the Josh McDaniels type of offense and Drake May spreading the ball around, which A.J. Brown, a lot of people will say, will have a problem with by week 5 as well. Yeah. But I think if we're winning, it's not going to be a problem. I also do think I like what he does downfield, and I think Drake May is an exceptional downfield passer. I like what we can do with him over the middle as well. I mean, we've seen this guy make big plays or run after catch multiple times. I think he's a very, very talented player. The only thing I worry about is his target share and the crowded receiver room that the New England Patriots do have, but he is the clear alpha here, so he is slightly higher for me. And we can go right into number 26 with Nico Collins.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly higher as well. I have him just below A.J. Brown, but I do have him above another guy we talked about in Rashee Rice, and I even have him up there near Drake London. I think Nico Collins has shown again and again that he's very consistent in fantasy football. And if he can just get some better quarterback play from C.J. Stroud, which I'm expecting this year, the Texans are going to be better on offense. They're going to look a lot better. Nico Collins is his go-to guy. He's a big receiver, has shown up every year for C.J. Stroud. And even Davis Mills, no matter who plays quarterback, Nico Collins is as consistent as he gets in fantasy. But we'll move on to another receiver at 27, George Pickens.
Yeah, this one's tough. He's obviously sharing a receiver room with CeeDee Lamb. We saw what he did last year, kind of breakout season for him after leaving Pittsburgh, which was more of a piss-poor offense, into a very, very good offense with Dak Prescott throwing the rock. George Pickens proved that he's very good after the catch, gaining yards, and he had an exceptional season. I see a little bit downtick, but I think I'm slightly higher. This position that they have him at is quite good for me, quite honestly. Maybe slightly higher. I think I like his upside. I understand the competition, but I think he's still going to have a great season.
Yeah.
But we can go right into the next player they have ranked at number 28 with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, another tough one, just like Henry I was talking about. I kind of like just where it is. If I was to lean anywhere, maybe a touch lower. There's a couple receivers I would draft over him in this position, but we're in like the mid-third. I think that's where he should go. I like Josh Jacobs. You know what you're getting. I feel like you're going to get a guy who can get a little bit of receiving work, but he's on a great team. He's going to get the goal line work. And also people are talking about Marshawn Lloyd, but I think he only plays if Jacobs does get punished. That's also looming over his head. Don't know how true that's going to be. I know they're talking about Puka and him maybe get a little bit of suspension, but if he does get suspended, he definitely drops down boards. But I kind of like right where he is, if anything, a little lower. But We'll get into another running back who also has got a little banged up today as we're recording this, Breece Hall of the New York Jets.
Yeah, I'm lower. I'd be lower without the groin injury as well. He's just attached to the New York Jets. I think his touchdown line is 5.5. I don't see them scoring a lot of points. We just kind of haven't seen him be what he was since 2023, where he had his great season. It's just you're part of the New York Jets. They pay him, obviously, but I think Braylon Allen still exists. I think he could take some goal line work from him. It should be interesting to see how they kind of that whole backfield shakes out. But I'm lower on a Jet player, especially behind some guys behind him that I like quite more. But with that said, we can go right into the next guy, number 30, Chris Olave.
Yeah, much higher on him. I love Olave this year. If you saw our wide receiver rankings, I have a love about a lot of names people don't. I think that Tyler Shuck and Kellen Moore are going to be able to get this Chris Olave the ball. Shuck, I think, is going to improve even more this year, and Olave is going to be his main guy. I know they have Jordan Tyson, but Olave, I think we talked about it, had like 9 touchdowns last year. I think you see an uptick even more from that, getting Shuck for a whole year. Kellen Moore, good offensive mind. This is their alpha guy. This is who they want to get the ball. I'm much higher on Chris Olave than at 30. But we'll get into number 31, another New York Jet, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, again, I'm lower on any New York Jet, Garrett Wilson especially. I mean, a guy I personally like that you don't is Devonta Smith. I think he's going to have a much better fantasy season than Garrett Wilson this year, and he is significantly lower on this board than Garrett Wilson. Again, I just don't see the upside in scoring. I think you're going to be frustrated when you're watching the New York Jets play and you need Garrett Wilson to score points for you, and they're themselves are not scoring points. It's hard to score points when your team is not scoring points, so that's why I'm lower on Garrett Wilson. And we can go right into your guy, number 32, Malik Neighbors.
This is a tough one because it's all dependent on how you feel about him and his knee. As a Giants fan, I'm going to say higher, but I think if you're higher, you're much, much higher. I think he's up there with A.J. Browns of the world in the early second round if he's healthy. But if he's not going to be healthy, he's down around here because you don't know when he's going to come back. So it's all health dependent. I'm saying higher. I'm hearing good things about him playing week 1. He got his first team reps as we're recording today and like team practice. So I think we are going to see him week 1. And he is an elite talent. We've seen it before, maybe a little bit of a diva, but I think every wide receiver's got that in him. And we got Jackson Dart, who's going to be getting the ball this year. If he's playing week 1, you're getting him for a steal if you're getting him around 32. I don't see him dropping right there in many drafts. But we'll move on to a guy I know you like, Javonte Williams.
I've been very avid about Mr. Javonte Williams. I think that he's, like I said, a boring pick, but he's going to find himself into the end zone quite a bit. PPR leagues, obviously not going to do it for you in the reception game, but I think he's going to provide a 12.4 for you easily and then have some nice 20-plus point weeks for you. He's just attached to a great offense. He's the clear workhorse there. I mean, we're talking about Jadon Blue a little bit last year, but even he was just out of the backfield type guy you check it down to. If he were to even get any work at all, Javonte is the clear bell cow in Dallas Cowboys offense, which should be a very, very good offense. So I am much higher on Javonte Williams. And we can go into our second quarterback. At number 34, they have Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I feel like if there was another quarterback, that would be, what are we, in the early 4th round? This is a guy that you probably could take if you really wanted some upside, but not for me, so I'm going to say lower. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks you can get lower that are going to be near as good as him, but Lamar is a 2-time MVP, so if you want a pretty good advantage at quarterback, I think him and Allen are about the only 2 that you can do it with. So if you're big on quarterbacks, I can see you taking him here, but for me, I'm going to say lower just because the positional value has nothing to do with Lamar. He's an awesome fantasy player. I think he has the best season of all time in fantasy football, so if he stays healthy all year and he's running around, he's throwing the rock, it's going to be awesome. So I can see people taking him here, but not for me, so I am lower. Now, Eric talked about a little bit, we have Devonta Smith at 35.
Yeah, I think this is a guy you wish you took in the 3rd round. I really do. I think seeing him for the first time as the clear number 1 receiver in a should be pretty good offense. Obviously, a lot of people don't love the quarterback in Jalen Hurts, but I don't think it matters quite that much. I think he's still serviceable enough to get Devonta Smith the ball. I think they're going to be in high-scoring games where they put up a lot of points, maybe blow out some teams, where he will benefit quite nicely. I mean, we've seen him have these big games. That was with A.J. Brown. Now he's by himself. He's established in the league now. We knew what he was in college. He's been very good in the NFL. Obviously, his ceiling was capped off by the target competition. It's all gone now. It is just Devonta Smith. I think he could be very, very good for you in fantasy football this year.
No worry about the hamstring.
He's fine. But we can go right into who they have ranked number 36 in Tedero McMillan.
Yeah, I'm much lower on this guy. I do think this is about where he's getting taken. For me, how much do you believe in Bryce Young and how much that offense really throws? I had Tedero McMillan last year. I was actually faced with the decision this year in our draft to take him. I passed on him. I just fear that offense is not very potent and that they're not going to score a bunch of points, but he could be okay because he's a very good wide receiver. It's nothing to do with him. It's the offense around him, Bryce Young. And they kind of seem like they want to run the ball. That is kind of their forte, that they want to move the ball down the field, run the ball. And Tet was not catching touchdowns till later in the year. And for some reason, I know he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, but there's even some people from last year I prefer over him. So I am lower on Tedero McMillan than 36. But we'll get into one of my guys, Zay Flowers, at 37.
Yeah, I'm lower on Zay Flowers. He's just not a touchdown guy. A lot of people will say if he scored more touchdowns, he'd be so good in fantasy. He just doesn't. They have Derrick Henry. When they get in the red zone, he gets all the work. It's just that simple. I don't think he gets a lot of hype. That's the problem with Zay Flowers. I think he's a fine pick in fantasy. At the price, I think he's lower. I think you could do better. But that's just me. I've never been a big Zay Flowers guy. I don't think he's going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns for you. I think he's had these down weeks where you're really angry that you started him. Sure, he'll have these big weeks where he does catch 2 touchdowns, goes over 100 yards occasionally, but I don't think it's a consistent enough thing yet. At least he hasn't proven it to me, and it's just the same thing, I guess. I mean, John Harbaugh's gone now. We'll see how things work out, but I'm lower on Zay Flowers, and we can go into number 38 in Kyren Williams.
Yeah, this is another tough one that is falling around the number I think he should go, and it's really just because the fear of his handcuff, getting a lot more touches, Blake Corum. This offense is going to be so good, so I think Kyren is a good pick. But I'm going to say slightly lower because there's some running backs below him that I think I would maybe rather take just because of the fear that Blake Corum is going to get in there. He's going to get a lot of run, and that Kyren is just on a great team, so they can give the ball to anyone, and they're going to score, so they're going to try to keep him fresh, I think both of them. So you're kind of drafting a guy who's not going to get as many touches, I think, as what you would want. But it's around where I'd probably take him. So if I'm lower, it's a little lower. But this is late in we're late in the 4th round now. So if you're getting Kyren late in the 4th round, I think that's a pretty solid pick still. So right around there, I'm good. But if I was to say anything lower, just because our next guy's up who I would rather have, and that's Mr. Cam Scatterbo at 39.
I completely agree. I'd rather have Cam Scatterbo too. I think he's a 3-down guy. I think he's good out of the backfield catching the ball. He's going to be the goal line guy. If the Giants do have an uptick in offense, he's going to be a benefactor of that, absolutely. As soon as they get in the red zone, I think he's going to be catching the ball. I think he's going to be rushing the ball. If they're on the 1-yard line, he's going to be getting the ball. Sure, Jackson Dart could steal some, but I don't think that is John Harbaugh's goal, is to be running him as much as they would honestly prefer to, just based off injury history with Jackson Dart and maybe him not sliding. Maybe that changes this year. But I think Cam Scatterbo will set up for a great season. I think he's going to get a lot of work, a lot of goal line touches, a lot of receptions. He's just kind of good everywhere. And you kind of want to run this guy till the wheels fall off because you don't know how long he's going to be around for because of his play style.
I agree.
But we can move on to a guy who also is dealing with some injury stuff right now, number 40, Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, if you asked me towards the end of last week, I would have screamed higher. Was huge on Emeka coming this year. I think he was going to be the guy down in Tampa Bay. Baker slinging it down there. They're not going to blow anyone out really. But with the injury right now, you got to take a step back. They haven't announced if it's turf toe or not. If it's turf toe, he's going to fly down boards because that seems to linger for a while. They're just saying toe as we're recording. But so as of right now, I have to stay lower. But if for some reason they say, oh, no big deal, he's going to be fine, I would say higher because I think he's going to be a wide receiver one in a pretty potent offense where they're going to throw the ball a lot. But we'll move on to our next tight end, and it's Colson Loveland at 41.
This one's tricky, obviously, right? Colson Loveland was great in that small sample size. We saw him towards the end of the season last year with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Now things are progressing in the right direction. You still have Caleb Johnson and Ben Johnson going into the season in year 2 for Colson Loveland, who's a sure-handed tight end, can get open, and can get targets. I just don't love the sample size I've seen from him, so I'd be slightly lower. Rather, I think other guys and tight ends maybe a little bit more proven, but I don't blame you for taking him here. I would just be slightly lower, a little bit more cautious just because we haven't exactly seen it for a full year yet, but you could absolutely be a smash pick in fantasy football and help you win a league. So it's tricky, but I'd be slightly lower as of now. But we can move on to another tight end at number 42 and Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I would actually say higher for Tyler Warren. I think that when you compare him to Loveland, you could think he's more talented, but he had Caleb Williams, who I think is more of a slinger and going to get the ball more spread out than, say, Daniel Jones is going to be. Daniel Jones is a conservative quarterback, I think, that wants to look over the middle of the field and get it. That's why some people are big on Josh Downs this year. But Tyler Warren is a big target, and we talked about it if you saw our last fantasy video. He does have a pretty easy schedule, the Colts do, when it comes to fantasy. So I think if Daniel Jones is healthy, this is going to be a safety blanket, Tyler Warren. And I think I'd probably take him right around here, but where we're talking about with rankings, I'm going to go a little higher for Tyler Warren because I would prefer him actually over Loveland. But it's very close in my opinion. I think maybe game script and how they run the offense is why I would lean towards Tyler Warren. But we'll move on to Eric's quarterback, number 43, Drake May.
Pretty cool how this worked out, huh?
Yeah.
Listen, I love Drake May to death. I think it's very interesting they actually have him ranked over Jaden Daniels because a lot of people don't.
Oh, I do. I would agree.
A lot of people don't. I would be lower. Like I said before, quarterback value is just you could find a lot of places. But also Drake May does have a tougher schedule going this year. Obviously, everybody knows how easy his schedule was last year, and that's why he was so good in fantasy. I think he's a very, very good quarterback. Fantasy, I hope he's great. I have him again. Rushing upside, big arm, could have these big touchdown games. Again, positional value, and I think there's a lot of other pieces you can find for your fantasy team that will be serviceable enough, if not almost as good as Drake May, you can find in later rounds. So that is why I'm slightly lower. I'm just slightly lower on quarterbacks as a whole. But we can move on to number 44 in Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I think he's got to be higher, much higher right now. Especially they're talking about Puka maybe getting suspended. I don't even think that matters. This is a guy who caught, 14 touchdowns last year or something like that. And just an offense who is going to move the ball, going to score a bunch of points. And the suspension does come true. That's even more targets for Devontae Adams. But you got to know when you're drafting him, you're not drafting him so much for the quantity of targets he's going to get. It's the quality. When they throw it to him, he's going to catch it. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. He's going to get a lot of big plays. So I am a little higher on Devontae Adams than 44. But we'll move on to the running back of the New Orleans Saints, Travis Etienne.
Yeah, this one's tricky as well. We haven't seen him in this offense yet, but you kind of obviously love what they did last year with Tyler Shuck and Kellen Moore. They started producing points as soon as Shuck took over and Rattler was out. No-brainer decision for Kellen Moore. Great decision last year. So he's coming off a pretty decent season with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been quite good there in past years. I think his receiving ceiling is a little capped. I think Kamara will still get in there and receive a little bit. He obviously is getting older, and we saw him die kind of last year with injury and just his incapability to be on the field. They said he wanted to stay there. I think they re-signed him to a one-year deal, I believe.
He earned it.
And Etienne did get paid, so I think this is fair. I might be slightly high. This one's really tough for me.
I'd agree. They paid him.
Slightly higher.
That's the only thing why I think people are saying higher, just because they paid him. So you don't pay the guy if you're not going to give him the ball.
He should get some work. I think they have a very easy fantasy schedule in general, so he should be pretty good. I think he'll be getting most of the first, second down for sure, third and short, goal line back. I think he'll be all of those things for the New Orleans Saints. But we can move on to our next quarterback at number 46 with Jaden Daniels.
Way lower. I think this is ridiculous that he's up here. If you're telling me that Joe Burrow's not up here because of injury, why is Jaden Daniels this high? Because I get that he can run, but when he runs, that's why he gets hurt. I think he's going to play like a little scaredy cat this year. He's not going to throw. He's not going to run as much, not use the legs. He's going to try. He's going to do what Lamar did a little bit when he first started. Oh, I'm a quarterback, not a running back. No, he's supposed to run, but I just fear the injuries are a little too much. And I just think that if Joe Burrow's not up here, Jaden Daniels should not be up here. But we'll move on to another quarterback who I do prefer over Jaden Daniels, but it's Jalen Hurts at 47.
You obviously love the tush push, right? If you have Jalen Hurts, you love the tush push. You're on the other side of the entire world, I feel like. With this, I would be, again, slightly lower just because of quarterback value, as I keep saying. Probably get annoyed at me saying that, but it's just the truth. I think he's a very, very good fantasy quarterback, can be very, very good for you. Going to have some big weeks, especially with the rushing upside, rushing touchdown upside, not even necessarily rushing out of the pocket, as he doesn't do that too much, but he does do it.
He should do it more.
But I think their offense is going to be good. I think they're going to be a good team this year. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a good season. I like Devontae Smith, so it's kind of hard for me not to like Jalen Hurts. Positional value is the reason why he would be lower for me. But we can go into a receiver out in Los Angeles and Ladd McConkey at 48.
Yeah, if you've been watching our stuff, I'm way higher on Ladd McConkey, and everything coming out of camp I keep seeing is, why aren't you higher on him? He seems like he is going to be the guy this year. Mike McDaniel, I think, is going to love him. Crumbing across the field, getting open. I think Herbert's going to like him. He liked him with his rookie year. I'm much higher on Ladd McConkey. What are we in the 5th round now? Yeah, I don't see many drafts he's going to get this late. So if you get him around here, that's an absolute steal in my opinion. But we'll go up to Cleveland Browns. They got someone in the top 50. Clap it up, I guess. It's Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm lower on Quinshon Judkins. It's just the offense, pretty much. He also broke his leg last year. I had Quinshon Judkins in our big league last year. It was kind of frustrating because he was so talented. Had some big games. You can't count on that offense to score points. And if they're not scoring points, he's not going to score points. Their offensive line was pretty putrid last year as well, as we saw. And the guy after him that you're about to talk to, I am higher than Quinshon Judkins on. So we can go right into that. I'm lower on Quinshon. He's a Cleveland Brown, broke his leg.
Yeah, I know. It's Bucky Irvin who he's talking about.
Irvin.
And I'm higher on him too, and I'm almost just like, some people are low on him this year, and I'm actually just against the fantasy world that I see against that. Like, I get that they got Kenneth Gainwell, they got Sean Tucker, but Bucky Irvin was an absolute stud before he got hurt. He's going to catch. They can both play. Kenneth Gainwell can go play receiver. Bucky can go play receiver. And this is a wide receiver room, especially if Emeka goes down, that is going to need some help receiving the ball. It can't just be Chris Godwin. Jalen McMillan is there. But especially if Emeka's not there, they're going to need some receiving help. And Baker likes to throw the ball. He's not a huge runner. I'm much bigger on Bucky, who I think is plenty fine between the tackles. I guess if you think of all three are going to play, I get that Kenneth Gainwell was really good last year, but I think Bucky's a younger, better version of Kenneth Gainwell. So why wouldn't you play him more? That's kind of how I feel about it. But I am higher on Bucky Irvin, especially if you're going to get him around this. But this is what, the 6th round now? I'll be shocked if he makes it to there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the receiving upside for Bucky is definitely there. I don't know if it's as drastic as Kenneth. Kenneth is quite shifty, and he's just a small guy, slipped out of the backfield quite well. I do agree, though, Bucky's better between the tackles. I do sort of worry about Sean Tucker taking some goal line work. He is a bowling ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have him higher than Quinshon Judkins just simply because he's attached to an offense that, one, will have an easier schedule and should be putting out more points.
Would you rather have ETN or Bucky? They're close.
They're like the same player in my head.
I just feel like ETN I just feel like you wouldn't pay that guy all that money if he wasn't going to play. Like, that's why. He was kept in our league, so nobody had to make a decision to draft him. But I don't know where he would have went in our league for, like, in the real draft. It's tough because I agree, taking people in new situations that you've never seen is tough, but ETN was very, very good last year.
I think I'd lead ETN because I would less worry about volume being taken away.
I do think Gainwell is going to play. I also paid him too. Like, I'm not crazy, but like, he's there for a reason, and I think part of it is to keep Bucky healthy.
I mean, they lose Rashad White, who's a receiving guy. They go out and get another receiving guy. Obviously, they want that piece in their offense. So it is telling. I think Sean Tucker, we did see him take some work from Bucky last year when he did come back.
I do think Tucker's going to run more because White did run still sometimes. I don't think you're going to see Gainwell really lining up when Baker's under center or anything like that.
So it should be interesting, but I'd probably take ETN over.
Yeah.
But if you like this style of video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It was pretty fun to do, I think. Obviously, very, very quick. We're just hitting on as many players as we can.
Yes.
Try our best to get through all these players in a timely manner. But again, if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to the folks?
If the quarterback thing hasn't proven to you yet, we just went through ESPN's top 50. If you draft off that, we didn't even bring up Joe Burrow yet or anybody like that. Quarterbacks, you can wait. And if you're in some nerdy leagues like quarterbacks, they usually do go later. But if you love a quarterback, I guess you can take it. But just wait. There's so many other players you could get. A lot of names we didn't even bring up, like T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Terry McLaurin, stuff like that. You can take them over a quarterback and get a good quarterback later.
But for the fourth time, please like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot. Go follow our socials, HGH Sports. We do a lot of mini games on there if you like that type of stuff. But we will see you next time. Thank you.